Hello there, wiggers and niggers. I'm back again. Uppity white guy here. And this is one other thing that I've always wanted. I'll try and get more modern topics soon. It won't be hard. I'm already working on a few. But this is always something I always want to talk about. And again, I'm not going to get too heavy into it because it would take some research. And I ain't got the time for that shit. But this is how I see stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about. As always, on these 10-cent talks. We're going to talk about religion. Well, we're going to talk about Christianity simply for the fact of that's the religion I barely even know. An uppity white guy is pretty much an atheist. Pretty much I am. But we're just going to talk about Christianity. Because that's basically the only one that I kind of even know a little bit about. So I'm not trying to say that's the only religion in the world. It's just, we're just going to talk about that one. Because we don't want this to drag on for 5 hours. There's too many fucking religions. To me, religion is a mental thing. A lot of people rely on it, whether you like to or not, because they're powerless to fix something, or it would take great effort to fix something, and they'd rather just pray on it. You know. And there's nothing bad about that. If it gives you comfort and you want to pray it, that's fine. But don't think of miracle. I've never witnessed a fucking miracle. If I do, I'll get on here and make a video about it and tell you all about it. I've never witnessed a miracle. Doesn't mean... I believe there's people on other planets. I believe there's stuff we just can't explain yet because we just don't have the science to explain it, but it doesn't mean that it's supernatural. It means it can't be explained just yet. There's shit we just don't understand. But I also believe that a lot of the stories in the Bible and religion and about Jebus and all this other shit have been greatly, greatly exaggerated. And they're stories. And that's what they are. It's basically fiction. But it's been passed down and passed down, and people, even sane people, even scientists, believe it. Your brain can be contorted to believe stuff, and man, you can be manipulated. And people really believe a lot of this shit happened. I don't think it happened that way. I think what a better explanation is, if there was a guy named Jesus, which there probably was, I mean, I have a book that said they actually found his bones, but the church won't. The church won't cop to it, because if they found his bones buried somewhere, that means no miracles. He was just a regular human. They don't want to say that. But I believe he existed, and I believe he was kind of like the hippie of his day. You know, around wearing Birkenstocks and, you know, covered himself in a loincloth and whatever. He was the hippie of the day. And he started a following. He started another religion instead of Judaism. He was a Jew that started another religion, his own religion. Why did he start it? I don't know. Maybe he wanted a tax write-off. Nobody knows. Okay, but he claimed he talked to the one true God, and claimed he, you know, and people followed him. And at the time, Rome didn't like this because they saw him as a threat. If he got too big and too many people started listening to him, he could topple the fucking government. And they don't want that. So, okay. So they found out who he was, they put him up on a cross, supposedly, and they tortured him. Because, you know, back then in Rome, man, they did some bad shit. You think niggas are tough nowadays? It ain't nothing. So they did some bad shit. So they tortured his ass. Okay? But what they probably didn't do is actually kill him. So he hung there for a while. How the hell he survived, I don't know how the human body can go through that, but he did. They poked him with, I think it's called the Spear of Destiny or whatever, and they stabbed him several times. But if they didn't hit a major organ, you know, you could be shot 10 times and the bullets can never hit a major organ. They could fly right through you. I think 50 Cent was shot like 100 times or some shit. I don't know. So look, they didn't hit anything major. So they took him down from the cross. He was probably almost dead, but not dead. They put him in a cave somewhere and rolled the rock over the entrance and goes, okay, he's gone. He'll finish dying or whatever. You know, and they didn't give a shit. He's done. Well, later that night, the people that were guarding the hole in the mountain or whatever the fuck probably either weren't looking the right way or they got a little drunk. And what happened is his followers came, moved the goddamn rock, and took his body, still alive, and they took it to a safe house somewhere. Who the fuck knows where? It's back in the day. It's not like they had cameras on every corner and drones and stuff. They could have easily hid. And they did. And he probably hid away there for weeks and weeks and weeks while he healed up. Okay? And then after he healed up, he looked at Mary Magdalene, I can't even say it, and said, baby, we gotta get the fuck out of here. These niggas almost killed me. Next time they're gonna finish me off. This has gotten too big. Whew. Whisked away, maybe to the south of France. I'm not sure. They took the fuck off. Okay? So, that in a nutshell is what happened with his death. And then when the soldiers woke up, well, they had to come up with some fucking story. Because their commander was like, where's the body? They couldn't say we got drunk, because they wouldn't just be fired back in the day. They would have took their heads off. So they had to come up with some shit. So they're like, damn, he was the Messiah. He rose. He up in the sky. And so they came up with a fucking story that he rose from the dead and all this shit, went up to the sky, and yeah, it's a miracle. There's no miracle. His body was fucking stolen. That's more plausible. But what happened is these guys had to say something, because if they told the truth, they'd be killed. So that's what happened. Second, Mary Magdalene. Oh, she had an immaculate conception. There's no such thing. You've never seen that happen again. I've seen lots of out-of-wedlock chicks pregnant at Walmart, okay, but I guarantee you, they're not the Immaculate Conception. I've seen lots of people on the Maury Povich show, but none of them were the Immaculate Conception, even when Tyrone was not the father. Jesus still didn't knock him up. It was Ray Ray down the street, okay? So that's what the fuck happens. There was no Immaculate Conception. It's never happened. Okay, it can't happen. We don't self-reproduce. It doesn't fucking happen. We're not zygotes or tadpoles or whatever the fuck. We're not amoebas and we don't split. Okay? It takes two. Or if you go to some parties I've been to, it takes a whole bunch of people. But look, it doesn't happen by itself. So she hooked up with Jesus, and, you know, got it on, and she got knocked up. Plain and simple. But she had to lie, too. Because it's the Middle East back then. Way back, you know, way back, like BC type of shit. And if she'd said, hey, I'm not married, but Jesus here gave me the holy sausage, and he knocked me up, they'd take her to the town square and start throwing huge rocks at her until she was dead. So she had to make some shit up, too, to save her life. So she went, it's an Immaculate Conception! The Lord did this! And so that's what happened with the Immaculate Conception. It was really Jesus' kid, out of wedlock. But she had to say something because they weren't married, so to save her life, she said something. Now, after all this happened, the church got bigger. I think one of the most important people in Christianity, which is almost never talked about, is Emperor Constantine. He was the ruler of the half of Rome that was called Constantinople. This is during the Byzantine era, or whatever. He was the ruler of Constantinople. Now, he decreed that he turned to Christianity, and he would like it if you would too. And what that meant was, you better become a Christian, because the emperor said so. And these small little villages and stuff, if you didn't do what the emperor said, there were rumors getting around of, hey, so-and-so's a pagan. They'd go to so-and-so's house, kill him, kill his wife, and impregnate his goat. Okay? And that's what they would do. So, people began to convert to Christianity because they want their nuts cut off. Okay? And so this is... Now, why he did this, I'm not sure. I heard a story that... I think one day in class, I heard a story that he had a vision. If he took the Holy Cross in the battle, and he came out victorious and unscathed, he would convert to Christianity. He had a vision that that would happen. Well, he took the cross in the battle, supposedly, came out unscathed, and said, Jesus did this. He won the battle, came out unscathed, and then converted to Christianity. What really happened is he either just had a bad dream, ate some bad oysters, or he was probably suffering from syphilis. But we'll never know. The other thing is he converted to Christianity as a political move to consolidate his power. He didn't want a growing sect coming in. So if he converted, he was one of them, and then he could consolidate his power and he wouldn't be overthrown or anything. That's likely too. So anyway, it's very important because what this does is it takes it from a little cult status and gives it legit status. Now it's an actual religion, not just a cult, because the emperor said so. It's like if the president said, hey, I'm, practicing this religion or whatever. People, and then other people start to do it. It gives it a legitimate, because somebody in power gives it legitimacy. And that's what it is. And so Emperor Constantine, in my opinion, is one of the most important figures in all of Christianity, but you don't hear about him too much. You hear about Moses and all these other niggas. But Emperor Constantine, okay? Remember that. And so after that, they adjourned the Council of Nicaea, the first Council of Nicaea, where a bunch of church elders and people got together and they decided what the Bible was going to say. There was all these stories and stuff that was written by Joe Blow and this guy, and they decided which stories suited their needs, and they made the Bible. And that's where the Bible came from. They decided what stories wouldn't go in and what stories would come in. And how Christianity was formed and the rules and stuff. That's the Council of Nicaea. All man-made. It wasn't wholly ordained or... No, man decided all that shit. And that is my take on Christianity. It's a made-up thing. Remember, back before Christianity... Shit, the Romans, or the Greeks worshipped everybody. They had a ocean god. They had a god of love. And they had a god that pulled the sun up into the sky on his chariot, and then he pulled it back the other way at nighttime. That's how the sun moved. And if you told them that none of this shit was real, you'd be in a lot of trouble. If there was a storm at sea, Poseidon did it. That was as real to them as Christianity is to these people today. So in 1,000 years, we'll probably be worshiping some sort of robot AI god. And that will be as real to people as Jebus is right now. And so, every so many thousand years, religions turn over. Believe it or not. So long after you're dead and your bones are rotting in the fucking ground, there'll be another religion. And it just keeps going on and on. Because mankind has always prayed to something, even when we were in little tribes. Mankind always prayed for good luck with the crops and so forth, because it took them quite a while to recognize that there were 4 seasons and what to plant. They didn't know that for a while. So the crops kept dying, and so they thought it was evil or something. Oh, it's just a change of seasons. But they didn't know there were 4 seasons till finally one genius looked up one day and go, it gets cold this time every fucking year. Maybe we should plant something else? It took them a while to figure this shit out. Because early man was, well, not too bright. So, it took them a while to figure that shit out. So, you know, there was a lot of superstition and shit for stuff they couldn't explain. If your crops died, it's because that bitch next door gave it the evil eye. You know, so mankind's always been like this. And modern mankind ain't much different. A little different. We laugh at them now, oh, they were so superstitious. But people actually believe there was a talking snake, Adam and Eve, somebody ate an apple. They all believe this shit. They all believe he floated up to the sky. They still believe that. So, I mean, give me a fucking break. What are you laughing about? Mankind's about as stupid as it always was. Okay, so that's my take on religion. If it gives you comfort zone, fine. But it's probably man-made. Just remember that. I seriously doubt any of that stuff actually happened the way the Bible says. Extremely doubt it. It's man-made. However, people believe it so much, it can be what's called a self-fulfilling prophecy, too. So be careful. Because people read that shit, and they think it's real so much, it becomes real because they start believing in it. It's self-fulfilling. So be careful about that. You know, mark of the beast and all that shit, right? Okay, niggas! I'm past my goddamn bedtime, so remember, these balls. Good talk. I'll be back with more in a few days.